The whole main card of UFC 324 just got announced. Dana White jumped on his PSP and had a whole bunch of enthusiasm and intensity and dropped some massive fight news that we've all been hanging out for absolutely ages. The main event for 325 in Sydney got dropped as well. Volkanovski's making his return against Diego Lopes. We've got Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett for the interim lightweight strap as the headliner of UFC 324. The first big card kicking off the Paramount deal. Got a few other big fights. Harrison versus Nunes. Sean O'Malley's coming back against Song Yadong. Umar Nurmagomedov is fighting Davison Figueiredo. There's a whole bunch of sick fight news that's just got dropped, boys. Thank you, Dana. We're finally getting a little bit of clarity. I've still got a fair few questions and I'm a bit spun out by some of these announcements, like Arman Sarukian. Don't know what's going on with that bloke. Don't know what he did to the UFC, but he's obviously not in Dana's good books because he's been left out to dry. Let's go through all these fights. We'll talk about all the big news and I'll give you my early leans and a bit of a reaction to what I reckon is going to happen here. UFC 324, boys, that is going down at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. There was some rumors back a while ago about that it was going down in California or something, but they've gone back to the old faithful, Las Vegas, T-Mobile Arena, the sickest UFC venue in the world, in my opinion. And Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett is headlining the event for the interim lightweight championship. Ilia Topuria has vacated, not really. He's taken a little bit of a hiatus. He said he's got some personal stuff going on. I think his missus dumped him or vice versa, and he's got a bit of a custody battle going on with her, with the kids, maybe a bit of a divorce settlement going on. There's been rumours of some other sinister shit too. I won't go into it, but yeah, Ilya needs a bit of time off to get his head straight and to get his personal life together. Fair enough. Look, I would probably prefer if they stripped him, because the UFC, they've got so much inconsistency with what they actually do when a champion has stuff going on. Sometimes they strip him, sometimes it's for a vacant belt, interim, who knows. But obviously Ilya's a big star. They want him as the champion and they want this fight to set up for Ilya's next fight. He said he's going to come back, but he just needs a bit of time. So perfect window for the UFC to put on an interim title fight, Gaethje versus Pimblett. So what do I think about this fight? I've got some mixed emotions about it, boys, to be honest. Paddy Pimblett, he's a mad dog. I'm all for him getting a shot. Even though he's only coming off a win over Michael Chandler, which is not the best. And really, I feel like the reason that Paddy's getting the title fight is because Luke Riley just knocked some bloke out, Bogdan Grad. And he's riding his hype and they're loving this whole bloody Scouser thing. But look, I'm feeling okay about Pimblett getting the shot. I would have felt a lot better about it if he was fighting Ilya, because at least he's got some beef with that little chorizo. But Gaethje getting the shot, man, this one I'm not a big fan of. Hey, I don't know why they keep rinsing and repeating this. Like, lightweight's been stuck in this completely doomed, cooked cycle of just Poirier, bloody Gaethje, Poirier, like chuck Oliveira in there every now and again. Oliveira, Gaethje, like... we're still living in the bloody shadow of Khabib, to be honest, and Conor. Like, Gaethje does not deserve to get a title fight after his recent couple of fights. What's he done? He's beat Fiziev twice, got fucking slept by Max Holloway. He's not as deserving as Max Holloway to get the belt. It should be bloody Max Holloway versus Paddy Pimblett. But that just tells us that we know we're getting probably a pay-per-view headlined by the BMF Charles Oliveira versus Max Holloway fight. So Gaethje, man, look, the other thing I don't like about Gaethje getting the title fight as well is he acted like a fucking toddler having a tantrum to get it. Like, he sat out and said, "No, I'm fucking fighting for the title, and if you're not going to give me that, I'm going to retire." And I thought the UFC and Dana were just going to go, "Cool, bro, off you go." But man, obviously Gaethje's got a bit of sway here because, and obviously he's a big fan favourite too, so maybe that's got something to do with it. But they caved into the threats and the demands of Justin Gaethje. He's holding the division ransom, and he's been given it. So I don't like the message that sends to other UFC fighters. It's been like this for a while, but I just hate the fact that now guys can go, well, I'm in the top couple of, guys here, contenders in this division. I don't want to have to keep fighting if I'm close-ish or close enough to the belt. I'm just going to sit out and just wait and see what happens and bloody put a gun against the UFC's head and hold him hostage, and eventually I'll get a title fight. And that's exactly what the UFC giving Gaethje this title fight is telling other contenders. Sit out, wait, make a scene, chuck a wobbly, chuck a tantrum, and you will get your reward. So I don't like that. Look, the fight itself is going to be sick. I personally think Paddy's going to destroy him. I think Gaethje's on the decline. That damage he took against Max Holloway is not going to be doing him any favours. And I think Paddy's pretty good, man. I think he's actually decent. He's got good jiu-jitsu. And we've seen that Gaethje is pretty submittable, man. Like, a lot of people talk about Gaethje with his leg kicks and his chin and this and that and his cardio and his output. But he's got a clear weakness, in my opinion, and that is being grappled and that is being submitted. Now, you can't let him getting choked out by Charles and Habib kind of cloud your judgment of how the Paddy fight's going to go. Paddy is not in the same league as those blokes, but I think Paddy's good enough on the ground to get Gaethje out of there, and I think Paddy's good enough on the feet to give him some problems too. I would say that Gaethje's probably a better boxer. Paddy, he's looked like shit in a few of his fights, the Jared Gordon fight, etc. But Paddy looked really improved against Chandler, and I don't think that Gaethje and Chandler are all that different. Yes, Gaethje did school Chandler, kind of, but that was a pretty close fight. It was a back-and-forth war, and it wasn't like Gaethje was on another level to Michael Chandler, and Pimblett looked like he was on another level to Chandler. So I think this one's going clearly in Pimblett's direction. But at least the win I'm taking out of this is at least hopefully we'll eventually get Pimblett versus Ilya, the chorizo bloody beef matchup. I'm keen for that fight. I want to see that fight. That'll be a massive, huge fight with a whole bunch of hype on it, a bunch of shit talk. So if it leads us to get Ilya versus Paddy in the not too distant future, hopefully not in like a year's time, I'm okay with it as long as Pimblett wins. If we get Gaethje as champ again, fucking save us all, because he's probably just going to retire anyway. So I don't know what the UFC's doing here, because they know that Gaethje's not far off retiring. So they're kind of putting all their eggs in Paddy's basket here. What the fuck is going on with Arman Tsarukyan? What has he done? I really think there's something sus going on with Arman and that whole Islam thing. Surely they can't be so pissed off at him for getting hurt before the Islam fight. It's not like the whole event got ruined. And they've shown that he's back in their good graces by giving him that main event in Qatar, which is a pretty big, important card as well. And he got it done in dominant fashion. Was that not enough to stamp yourself as a number one contender at lightweight? I don't know, because now we've got a couple of different things going on that Arman is not in a good position in that division. I think we're going to get Max Holloway versus Charles Oliveira for the BMF, and I would like to think that would probably set up a guy for a number one contender fight as well. We've got the winner of Gaethje versus Pimblett going to have to sit out for a little bit more and fight Topuria. Topuria said he's going to be out till spring or whatever that means in bloody American terms. What the fuck's Arman Tsarukyan going to do? What's he just going to keep fighting jobbers like Dan Hooker and Renato Moicano and fucking Benoit Saint-Denis and shit? Like, oh yeah, Arman's got to be feeling a little bit left out here. Like, maybe he knows a bit more than we do, because he's not kicking up a massive stink about it. Like, if he was getting done as dirty as he looks like he's been getting, I feel like he should be making a bit more of a scene. So that kind of tells me maybe that Arman knows he's done something wrong. He's happy to sit out and bloody get his ass spanked by Dana. But in terms of the meritocracy and how this division should be playing out, this was not how I saw it going. I made a video yesterday and I talked about all the hypotheticals about who's fighting who and who could and what should happen. And none of those fights I said was going to be Gaethje versus Pimblett for the title. So that goes to show that this one is a little bit out of left field, and I'm not the biggest fan of the matchmaking logic here. The fight itself should be sick. I reckon Pimblett wins easily, and I'm interested to see what they do with Arman, because, yeah, he's been left out to dry here. Anyway, the co-main event for 324 is Harrison versus Nunes. Kayla Harrison versus Amanda Nunes. I'm glad we're not getting this one as the main event. There was a little whisper there that maybe this was going to be the main event, and UFC fans worldwide would have crashed the fuck out if they started off this big, new, hyped-up Paramount era with Harrison versus Nunes as the main event. But I'm okay with it as a co-main. As the co-main, this is a sick fight. Amanda Nunes is the fucking man. I really like Amanda Nunes. I've watched every Amanda Nunes fight. She's fucking hectic. I like her. She fights wild. She throws down. She knocks bitches out. Kayla Harrison, not too, upset but that she's at the top of the division either. She came over from Bellator or PFL or whatever it was, and she's been starching bitches as well. So this is set up for a pretty massive fight. I reckon someone's getting hurt in this fight. Maybe subbed, but it's women's MMA. Who knows what's going to happen? But if there's a women's MMA fight that looks set for some violence, this one looks pretty well set. And I think Amanda Nunes, depending on what sort of shape she comes back in, I reckon she's been biding her time training and improving. She's not that old. I think she's, 35 or 36. She's had a couple of kids, or at least one. But I'd be pretty keen to see what sort of state she comes back in, because when she is at her peak, she's a wild girl and she might knock Kayla Harrison out. And I would love to see that. Kayla Harrison's got a fucking big head and she's very hittable. And we saw what Nunes did to Cyborg. Absolutely destroyed her, starched her, and that was Cyborg was supposedly like the next best thing outside the UFC. Now, Harrison's come in and beat Holly Holm to get the belt, or to get close to the belt, I think, and she's beat Juliana Pena. Amanda Nunes is on a bit of a different level to those girls. Even though Pena beat Amanda Nunes, that was like a full hoax, that thing. So, yeah, this one's all right. I don't mind it. Look, I'm not going to bloody be losing sleep and making a whole bunch of videos about it. But as far as Chicks Bantamweight, which is a pretty dead division, at least we get this big fight. Look, probably the winner of this will retire. They might both retire. Who fucking knows? But if they do, close the division, because there's not much else happening. Maybe Norman Dumont, but yeah. O'Malley versus Song Yadong. Yeah, this is a pretty hype fight. This looks like it's going to be the featured fight of 324, so the third one down on the card. Yeah, pretty sick. Good to see O'Malley coming back. Song Yadong, he's a mad dog. He goes hard. I think this is a pretty bad matchup for Song Yadong, but in my opinion, I think Sean O'Malley has the style to beat Song Yadong. Song Yadong is a real nuggety, bricky little dude who likes to stand and bang. His wrestling's okay, but he kind of uses it more as counter wrestling, and I don't really see him dominating guys on the ground that much. O'Malley can be dominated on the ground, so maybe it will be a game plan for Song Yadong to take him down. It should always be against Sean O'Malley. But this is the type of fight I can see O'Malley looking very, very good in. I can see him schooling Song Yadong and putting hands on him and really doing some damage to his face. Good to have O'Malley back. This fight, I think, is not a huge surprise. There was a lot of rumours floating around that O'Malley versus Yadong was happening. There was a couple of options, but yeah, this one seemed like it made the most sense. And here it is, Sean O'Malley versus Song Yadong, number 2 versus number 5. Yeah, Sean O'Malley, if he wins this, he's definitely back up in the title mix there. I don't know what they're going to do with Merab. I reckon the UFC is going to be pushing Merab to get these next couple of wins and fuck off and retire pretty stat, because the matchups for Merab are not all that interesting. Not because Merab himself is not interesting. I actually really like Merab, but it's not interesting to see him dominate everyone by decision every single time. And there's no one in the UFC apart from, no one at bantamweight apart from Umar that I can really see giving Merab that hard of a time. We'll talk about Umar a little bit in a minute. But anyway, the winner of this, Song Yadong, they won't give him a title shot if he beats Sean O'Malley. O'Malley, if he wins, probably needs one more, but he's got that Dana White privilege, so maybe they do chuck him straight in there. But I'll talk about this a little bit more when we get to the Umar fight. Let's keep going to Waldo Cortez Acosta versus Derek Lewis. Yes! Fucking oath! We got this fight. I talked about this one in my video yesterday. I wanted this one. This was my number one choice for Waldo Cortez Acosta. He called out Curtis Blades. I was like, oh, look, I'll take that fight, but I'm not all that huge on Curtis Blades. I wanted to see Waldo Cortez Acosta throw down with D-Lou, and we're getting it, boys. Fucking oath. This is like a punch-on's dream matchup. I am so keen for this one. And it's on the main card of a huge, massive new legacy-defining kind of pay-per-view card. And I'm stoked, bro. Waldo Cortez Acosta, what a fucking G this guy is. I reckon he's up there with bloody fighter of the year, man. And if he wins this fight, and if he goes out there and knocks out Derek Lewis, put him in there against Tom, bro. Give him a title shot. He's the guy. He's the most interesting thing that's happened at heavyweight for a long, long time. And this is a fucking fan's wet dream, a heavyweight fan's wet dream, this fight. Derek Lewis, we all know how much we love this guy. The most knockouts in UFC history. Every single one of his fights is one of the most entertaining fights of the card. Always. He's always the man. Like, he's chucking down massive bombs, knocking dudes out, doing the whole fucking Black Beast routine, chucking his box into the crowd, taking his pants off and mooning the crowd, scratching his ass, having his bum crack hanging out of all his fights. I will not ever miss a Derek Lewis fight as long as this guy's around. Waldo, I'm not going to be missing any of his fights either. This guy is a legend. He's coming off the biggest bloody 2025 that you could possibly conceive in the heavyweight division. This guy knocked out Ante Delija, who was the big new best thing in the UFC at the heavyweight. Turns around in a couple of weeks' notice and flatlines Shamil Gaziev. He deserves this fight. I think Lewis is ranked below Waldo Cortez Acosta, but in terms of the hype and the unofficial rankings of where Derek Lewis stands in the division, if you knock out Derek Lewis, you're probably getting a title shot. So I like this because D-Lou's been doing pretty good lately as well. He knocked out Taliesin Teixeira, and these boys are on a win streak. If they knock one another out, I can see that happening, a bloody double knockout, but whoever knocks out the other dude here, put him in there against Tom Aspinall or whoever's got the belt at that time. Fucking Cyril Gane, I hope not. I even don't give a shit about Cyril Gane. Fuck Cyril off and let the winner of this fight, Tom, when he recovers from his bloody little scratched eye. So Waldo Cortez Acosta, reward for doing all his work he's been doing in the last year. I hope he fucking wins. Even though I love Derek Lewis and it'd be sad to see him get slept. Derek's lost plenty of times. Waldo's the guy I want to see move his way up the division. Sick fight, that's going to be a good one. Arnold Allen versus Sean Silva. Sick fight as well at featherweight. Another one I'm frothing and stoked on. I already talked about this one in my video yesterday. I think it's a very, very good fight. I think there's going to be hands flying in this one as well. I like that theme of the whole new card we're getting here, this 324, is there's just hands flying and like knockouts are pretty much guaranteed and we're going to get some big moments. And that's what the UFC wants. They want to start off the Paramount era with massive viral moments, and I think the way they've set this card up, it's likely that we're going to get some. Arnold Allen and Sean Silva, I think this is a very, very tough fight to predict. I'll have to do my research on this one and then like break it down the X's and O's a bit here, because both of these guys have hands. Both of them are fast as fuck. Both of them have got pretty good chins. Sean Silva's fight IQ is, leaves a little bit to be desired, so hopefully he's been working on that a little bit. Arnold Allen, he's just real steady and consistent, and he's up there. He gave Holloway a close fight, so I wouldn't be surprised if he takes this one out. But Sean Silva, man, it's hard to pick against him. Even though he lost to Lopez, he was right at Lopez's level, and to be honest, I thought he was whooping up Lopez in that fight, apart from round one. I thought he was taking over and starting to really win that fight on the feet, but Diego Lopez fucking landed a sick spinning elbow, and it wasn't a fluke. He was obviously the better fighter, but I don't think John Silva, dropped too much of his stock from that fight. And now he's going in there against Arnold Allen. What's this, number 11 or something versus number 6? I think Silva's he's not far away from that top 5 at featherweight, and this will really tell us where he stands because Arnold Allen's a good, honest test for him, and if he can beat him, he's rising right up there and he'll be putting himself back in the title picture as well. So that's going to be a violent fight. Someone's going to get bloody slept maybe. Someone's going to bleed for sure. And, these boys, I'm excited to see that one. That's a great addition to that card as well. Other fights that got chucked on that one, Alexa Grasso versus Rose Namajunas. Oh, fucking for some reason I thought these chicks had already fought. Yeah, whatever. I don't know why they keep bloody bringing back the corpse of Rose Namajunas. I don't think she's bloody much chop. Alexa Grasso, yeah, whatever. This fight's all right. I'm pretty happy that the UFC have given us a fucking shit break for this card. But solid women's fight, I guess. Umar Nurmagomedov versus Davison Figueiredo, one of the hardest fucking pairs of fighter names to spell of all time. The longest friggin' combined fight name of last names I've ever seen in a fight. Umar Nurmagomedov, number 1 contender, is getting Figgy at number 6. And it's a bit funny, this one too. I kind of get it because they want to keep him on Merab's schedule. They want, Umar, credit to him, he's probably hungry for a fight. He wanted a fight, and then credit to Figgy for stepping up too. Figgy is coming off a win over Montel Jackson. They like it when these kind of older grizzly sort of vets shut down the up-and-coming guys. They like rewarding them for that, and I think Figgy's getting a fair reward here. I don't like this one for Figgy at all, though, and I love me some Figgy Smalls, but I don't really see a path to victory for him against Umar. Umar's just too clean, too well-rounded, and I think he's going to do the same as what Corey Sandhagen did to Figueiredo, and I reckon Umar's better than Sandhagen. So that's a tough one for Figgy. I think he's going to be a very, very long shot, underdog on this on this fight. I don't think this one's even on the main card, or maybe it's open it up. Maybe they're going to go with a 6-fight main card, which would be sick. But yeah, Umar, he wins this. He's probably going to get the next shot. But I still want to see the Umar versus O'Malley fight. But yeah, I think they're kind of trying to keep these guys in the mix. And I think this will end up being a case of whoever has the best performance out of O'Malley versus Song Yadong and Umar versus Figueiredo will probably be the next one up for Merab. Although they're not going to do O'Malley for a third time against Merab, surely. But, you know, the fucking UFC does whatever the fuck they please, as we can see by the Gaethje Pimblett fight. So who knows? Let's talk about UFC 325. I'm going to do everything in my power to get my ass to this card because it is in my backyard in Sydney. I'm stoked that they're coming back. This Sydney card, 325, is happening the week after 324, as far as I'm aware. Yeah, January 24 and then January 31. So crazy stuff. The Sydney card is going to be headlined by Volk versus Lopes 2. Now, I'm going to be a little bit of a contrarian here because a lot of people are crashing out about this fight, and I get it. I get that we want to see Volk have a because I think this is going to be Volk's retirement fight. We want to see Volk get a different matchup. We want honestly a fight that's a bit easier for him. But I'm not too mad about this fight. And the reason I'm not too mad, look, I hear the arguments on the Volk side of like, why the fuck's Volk have to do it twice? The first fight wasn't that close. Volk clearly won. Volk shouldn't have to be bloody dancing around and flying, going by the beat of the drum of these contenders. Volk's the guy. He should be able to pick and choose what he wants to do. And I get that. I get that Volk, it's not ideal of a matchup for Volk. It's a very risky matchup for Volk. It's a dangerous matchup for him. It's a rematch of a fight he's already won. Why does he have to go again? But what I do like about this fight is Diego fucking Lopes, bro. I love this guy. He is a fucking G, and I'm not upset that he's getting to fight for the belt. Look, that performance that he had against John Silva was a title fight deserving performance. Okay, that was pretty fucking hectic. That was one of the fights in 2025 that got me the most G'd up and the most excited and the most hyped after the moment. That's the type of shit the UFC loves, and they love Diego Lopes. He's active, he's very entertaining, he fucking stands and bangs, he does damage, he's good on the mic, he creates drama and shit. I'm not too cut by the fact that Diego's getting another crack. And the thing is, even if Volk loses and we get Diego, we've got Diego Lopes as the champion, bro. He's a fucking mad dog. As if we don't want Lopes to be the next champ at featherweight. He's more entertaining and more exciting and more hype than Lerone Murphy. He's definitely more hype than, what's his name, fucking Movsar Evloev. And at least we're not getting Volk versus Yair Rodriguez. Remember there was a while there where we were like, oh, bro, the UFC's going to do like Volk versus Yair, like 2. I'm so glad we're not getting that. This, I think, is the best outcome. In terms of like, not in terms of fairness for Volk, and as a diehard Volk fan, this does hurt a little bit because I'm not really prepared to see Volky get slept again, especially if it's his retirement fight in his hometown, and I'm there. Like I'm hoping to be at this card, but it's Lopes, bro. He's one of my favourite fighters. If he gets it done, I think I'll cope. I don't know if I'd cope with Evloev slept Volkanovski, which probably wouldn't happen anyway. But yeah, I'm excited to see how this card shapes up. At the moment, they've only dropped this fight. So what I might do in the next couple of weeks is do a bit of a card builder for this Aussie card, see if I can beat some of the fight announcements to try and build a 6-stacked Aussie card with fucking Quill and Salkilled and buddy Big Train Nolan and fucking Brando Perisic and a few of those other boys. I reckon there's some pretty sick fights that can be made and chucked on that Aussie card. But look, even if it's sort of a similar quality as what we got in that last Perth card, the Ulberg Reyes one, but we've got this fight on top, and I think we're getting Strickland versus Hernandez as well. I'll be okay with it as long as there's a whole bunch of Aussie boys and the Aussie boys show up and Volk gets the dub, or at least we get a fucking good fight and Volk doesn't just get slept. So, man, the announcements are huge. Like 324 is stacked as fuck. It's going to be a sick card. I'm looking forward to seeing how that one goes. Let us know how you're feeling about the Gaethje and Pimblett whole thing. Like, it's not really sitting right with me at the moment. I think it's a kind of bullshit, to be honest, but hey, the UFC pulls shit like this out all the time. Let us know what you reckon, and put your early picks for these fights down in the comments, boys. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you boys in the next one, eh? Punch on.